Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM. This is a feature presentation on Trump mass deportation, fact or fiction. During the 2024 election, Trump made a very strong argument about having strong borders, stop illegal immigration, and deport all those people who have come during the Biden administration. Let us look at the magnitude of the number of illegal immigrants that have entered the United States during Biden-Harris administration and how Trump would be able to accomplish his promise of deporting all the illegal immigrants during his term. We are going to look at real facts, and this is a presentation about just facts, and let you be the judge as how this information is useful to you. There's no spin, there's no twist, there's no bias. It's just presenting pros and cons of Trump's mass deportation for 2025 to 2028. So let us begin with the feature presentation. As I said, Trump has promised that he is going to have the largest deportation program in American history. As you know, more than 11 million people have crossed, and by some estimates, it's supposed to be almost 20 million people. Of these 11 million people, approximately 6.4 million people are in the workforce. Of course, Trump has proposed several plans, such as closing the border. Number two, asking Mexico to make sure they stay in Mexico while they are waiting for asylum ruling, and also have a very strong ICE to protect the border, complete the border wall, and deport all those illegal immigrants who have been in this country, who are costing over $1 billion in terms of housing, in terms of providing them transportation, providing them for work permits, and many other things. Well, deportation is not a dirty word. Every president in the history has deported illegal immigrants. Let's look at two Democrat presidents before Trump and what is their record on deportation. Let's talk about Bill Clinton. I like Bill Clinton. I think he was a charismatic leader, and he was thinking just like the conservative Republicans when he was running for election with reference to the border crisis, illegal immigrants. And look at what Clinton has accomplished. Clinton carried out 12.3 million deportations over his two terms. About 11.4 million, 93% were returns, which included both enforcement and administrative returns. On an annual basis, he deported close to 2% of the illegal immigrant population here in the United States. So all those critics who say it is inhumane, it is unconscionable, it is undemocratic that Trump is contemplating mass deportation, just look back in the history, look in the mirror, Democrats, and see how the Democratic presidents have performed during their term. Bill Clinton has carried out 12.3 million deportations during his two terms. All right, what about President Obama? Look at here. President Obama deported 3.2 million people during his first term between 2009 and 2012. In his second term, he deported 1.9 million people, a total of 5.1 million deportations by President Obama. So, what about human rights? What about democracy? What about citizens' rights? The other argument about deportation is people who hire these unskilled workers argue that yes, by deporting these people, we are going to have a severe work shortage, and we are going to incur an inflation. We're going to have a depression. It's going to cost over $1 trillion in deficit. Really? As though there are no working people in America? I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides as how much workforce in America those who are citizens and legally here in the United States who are looking for job. Let's keep in mind the number of people, illegal immigrants, during this recent influx. About 6.8 million people are in the workforce. Of course, they are mostly in the unskilled workforce. A lot of them don't pay taxes. A lot of them use healthcare services. A lot of them use our school systems. They are a tax burden on the American everyday taxpayer. Again, people who argue that we need these illegal immigrants because they do work which nobody else wants to do. But if you look at the statistics, in 2023, 59 million working US citizens and legal residents were not in the labor force. This included US born and legal immigrant workers, representing a large pool of potential workers. More than 2/3 of the US born individuals not in the labor force are adults between the ages of 18 and 64 without a bachelor's degree, suggesting they are candidates for unskilled workers. When people say we have shortage of workers, that is an erroneous number. It's not based on real facts. So I am presenting you the real facts and you can judge for yourself. Let's move on. There's no question that illegal immigrants and the legal residents in the United States compete for the same jobs, except the illegal immigrants, because of language and communication barriers, may be seeking for a much less skilled jobs compared to the legal residents. But look at this. In 2013, foreign-born workers accounted for 44% of the 16 million workers without a high school diploma. So half of the work that was done that did not require a high school diploma was done by foreign-born workers. But you have to understand, they say if you don't have illegal immigrants, the country is going to go bust. The real estate industry is going to go down. The farmers are going to be left with no crops, all kinds of nonsense. If you look at unauthorized immigrants, make up for 4.8% of the nation's workforce. They are not the major workforce. And when we have 16 million people who are looking for job, and the illegal immigrants, as I said, the more recent one, which accounted for 6.8 million people who are in the workforce, I think we have to understand there are enough people here in the United States who can fill those jobs. It is a question of mismatch between people who are seeking work and the employers who are seeking employees. This may be related to the location, job description, specific requirements, and legal papers, all these different things which can make a difference as whether somebody can match their skills with the type of job they are looking for. Most recently, we heard Tom Homan, who was the previous border czar during Trump first administration, has been nominated as the ICE czar or border czar. And if you ever heard his testimonies during his first confirmation, there were explosive confrontations between the Democratic representatives and Tom Homan. And Tom Homan made a very strong case that if someone is crossing the border, they are committing a crime. Yes, indeed. If you are committing a crime and you are caught in your car with a baby, you will be taken to the jail and the baby will be taken to the child custody services. This is no different what we do for the American citizens compared to the illegal immigrants. There was heated arguments and it has been recycled now since Tom Homan has been nominated as the border czar. But we will see how things unfold. But as I've been repeatedly saying that deportation is not a dirty word. Obama deported 5.1 million people. Bill Clinton deported 12.3 illegal immigrants during his 2 terms. And people argue about the cost of deporting a person. Of course, you just can't tell them, just leave the country. They have to be represented. They have to go through the legal process. They have to be represented in the court, and it costs approximately $10,900 plus $1,200, and 10 million people. It will run like $128 billion. And obviously, you won't be able to deport all the 10 million people in 1 year. The maximum we could accomplish maybe 1 to 2 million people. The numbers range anywhere from 128 billion to 315 billion, and the economic toll of deporting these people has been estimated to be close to $1 trillion over 10 years. But the important thing we want to keep in mind is that these numbers are all sort of looking from just one aspect. They are not looking at the amount of money lost to the working force here in the United States, who are citizens, who are legally here, who can't find a job because these jobs have been taken by illegal immigrants who don't pay taxes, who don't pay school fees, and still use healthcare facilities, schools, all these things, which become an extra burden on the taxpayer, you. How is Trump administration going to approach this mass deportation? And this is a misconception. I think Trump has rightfully said that he's going to do mass deportation. And as I said, it is nothing different from what Bill Clinton and President Obama did. Of course, they have clarified how they're going to approach. They're going to look at the national security as the priority. They're going to look at convicted criminals, those who are on the FBI list, those people who have committed heinous crimes, people of Chinese nationals living in the United States, and people with visas who have overstayed without any legal justification. So these are the people who are easy to be tracked and deported from the United States. Have an expanded enforcement. They're going to need new methods of detecting these illegal immigrants, especially the drug dealers, the cartels, and the gang members, and get them out. Of course, they are going to need a lot of support, not just from the ICE, but from the state police and maybe National Guard and even Army if it is necessary. Of course, Trump says no price tag for this deportation plan is bigger than the national security and safe borders. And I agree with Trump on that one. They are calling for Congress to fund additional 10,000 Border Patrol agents to make sure that we have a secure border. Some of the things Trump can do on his own is to re-implement Stay in Mexico order. And number 2, terminate Biden-era programs allowing illegal immigrants to come into the United States. Reviving border policies, remain in Mexico, which I talked about. Reinstating Title 42 for quick expulsion of illegal immigrants at the border. The other plans would include focusing on US-Mexico border and pressuring Mexico to make sure that these people don't cross, and they need to stay in Mexico while their papers are being evaluated for asylum. Expedited removal to bypass immigration courts. Potentially build new migrant detention camps. And these are all approaches. Of course, some of them have to be approved by Congress. They're going to take time. Of course, you're never going to have a clean path without the Democratic governors vehemently opposing the Trump's plans. And in fact, several of them, including the New York governor, Griffin Whitmire from Michigan, Newsom from California, they have said they will do everything possible to deter any type of interference with the illegal immigrants in their states. But Tom Homan says he has a federal mandate to get these illegal immigrants out of this country, and he is going to do whatever it takes if they have to double or triple the number of officers needed to get these illegal immigrants out of this country. So let us see how this plays out. So there are so many dynamics working here. So making a promise is one thing, but seeing that in reality is we have to see how it unfolds in time. But I strongly believe that if Bill Clinton can deport 12.3 million people, and if Obama deported 5.3 million people, deporting 6 to 8 million people over a period of 4 years should not be a major challenge for Trump, especially with his very strong border policies and a team that is determined to keep the American border safe and send some of these heavyweight criminals out of this country in a short order. As a matter of fact, Trump has been elected just about a week ago. Now we are already seeing some changes in the Mexican border, that the Mexican police have started cracking down on people crossing the Mexican borders to enter the United States. So that is a very good sign that the presence of Trump has made a significant impact even before he takes the office. It's been just 1 week ago, the 47th president, and Mexico has already taken the cue that, well, we better get ready, and they started the rehearsal of apprehending these illegal immigrants crossing the Mexican border. And we also have to understand, Trump has the power of the purse. He can tell Mexico that he can put tariffs and make things more costly, hurt Mexico in the long run to comply with the stay in Mexico order than to compete with Trump with these illegal immigrants. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quick overview of Trump mass deportation, fact or fiction. So we have presented both facts and we have presented also pros and cons. You be the judge. I hope this has provided some education and real information rather than any political spin or any personal bias. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. Stay tuned for these types of just facts presentations on the American story. See you in the next presentation.